Bernard.
Hi. Hi there.
Hi. How are you?
I'm all right.
That's good.
Oh, has it?
Hi, Sue. Hi, Jess. Oh, I can't hear you, Jean.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Shelley. Hi.
Hi.
How's you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh,
I'm
hi,
great, thanks.
Susie.
Hi, Jean.
I've got my mum with me.
This is Mum.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you.
Hope you don't
That's
mind me.
great.
I think what we'll do is we'll go and sit at the table at
Yes,
BBC.
okay.
Oh, hi, Jess. Hello. We have got some young company. Good evening. Hello, Elodie. Hi. Who is that funny woman? Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Susie. I'm just on with the telephone one. I give up with computer at the minute. We'll see how long it can last.
Okay.
I've got about 94%, so it'd be interesting.
Yes, that's fine. Right. Goodness me, you've grown. Wow. Yeah, it's funny.
We get into. Oh, we know.
Right, it's lovely to see everybody.
Lovely to see you as well, Susie. So you've been in London?
Hello.
I have. Well, Essex and London, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
Choir's been cancelled tonight. Rising cases on the Isle of Man.
Ah,
Oh. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Bernard.
Hi there.
Okay.
that's a shame. You're all right then.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just on the phone at the moment.
Oh, no worries.
Trying to sort out a dispute with my bank card.
Oh, okay.
I know. Anyway, he's put me on hold now. How is everybody?
All right, thank
Right.
you. Guy.
Yes, good. Enjoying the blue sky and sunshine,
Yes.
definitely.
Where's it gone?
Yeah, it hasn't been so blue today, although it did this afternoon.
Mm.
A
Yeah.
bit grayer, cooler.
Right.
I've got blue sky, no clouds
It's just grey here.
at the moment.
Sounds
How's your garden doing, Susie?
not bad. I have 4 lettuce pots.
You had to think.
Yeah, 4 lettuce pots, looking very happy. We've had
Yeah.
loads of lovely strawberries, a bit of rhubarb. The potatoes are going crazy. Tomatoes are a bit poor, as are the courgettes and pumpkins.
Oh gosh.
But
Sounds amazing though.
yeah, well, I keep talking to them.
Yes, good.
Evening, Liz.
Hi,
Hi,
hi, hi,
Hi.
hi.
Well, I will get started. How are you, Liz?
Yeah, marvelous. Yeah, it's not a heat wave
Yeah.
here, but everything fine. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds all right.
we're having rain.
Finally, you've got a bit of warmth.
Yeah, it's warm, warm
Yeah.
rain. You know what you don't really like.
Oh, warm rain. Okay, a bit
It's
tropical.
warm rain. It's in between, but it's very dark clouds, so it's like warm rain. So I don't really like that. I like warm sunshine.
Right. Yes,
There we are.
that would be preferable, I think. I'll just dig this up. And oops. Start at the very beginning rather than if you'll let me. Oh, come along. wonder if it's done that funny little trick it does sometimes of putting it somewhere else. Let's have a look here. No. Ah, there we are. Thought it had. Right. So I'm going to have a look at reducing arthritic inflammation, because really any illness like arthritis, rheumatism, rheumatoid arthritis, all of it is contributed to by the inflammation around the joints. And unfortunately, it's the inflammation around the joints that degenerates them. So one of the first places to start thinking about and looking at is the digestion, because partly, certainly they know that arthritis we know that arthritis and rheumatism and rheumatoid arthritis are possibly partly about how well we digest proteins, and in particular inflammatory and more of the inflammatory proteins, so such as you would find in dairy, in wheat, in red meat, because we rely on the digestion to break it down into a state where we can absorb it, transport it, and eliminate what we don't need, and the rest of it going to from the absorption and transportation to cell metabolism. So if you think about diet, I usually try and describe acid versus alkaline, because the more acidic the food, the more inflammatory it is, unfortunately. And this is why vegetables, as I boringly say probably every week, are your very best friend, because they're very, very alkaline. And so if we think about acid forming foods, and just take a look at some of the properties of them, they contain more chloride, phosphorus, sulfates than other organic acids. And of course, unfortunately, when they're made into red meats, processed meats, then they will tend to have more chloride added, sodium chloride, and also nitrates, which will contribute to more inflammation. And then animal protein and dairy and eggs and most grains are our most acidifying foods. But there's a sort of hierarchy of acidity. So pork is the most acidic meat, then beef, then lamb, then poultry, and then fish. And then you've got your eggs and your dairy, of course. And then with grains, the order is wheat, rye, oats, barley, and then brown rice is near neutral. And then there are a couple of neutral grains, buckwheat and quinoa. And then you've got milk products. Now, fermented dairy products are somewhat more alkaline because of the fermented products in them. And then, of course, you've got milk, and raw milk is neutral. But did I say fermented dairy products are alkaline? I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say they were neutral. The raw milk, of course, which is milk which is unpasteurized, unhomogenized, unprocessed in any way, is neutral. Now, fizzy pop, especially Coca-Cola, is acidifying, and our caffeinated drinks are also acidifying. And then you've got things like alcohol, obviously, chocolate, or synthetic chemicals, such as prescription drugs, artificial sweeteners, and sugar, which I haven't got listed there for some peculiar reason, are all acid forming. And sugar is one of the biggest promoters, along with salty foods, for taking calcium off the bone. Now, our alkaline foods contain all 4 electrolytes in an organic form: sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And generally speaking, that with a few exceptions, they're alkalizing. So rhubarb is one that is somewhat acidic, and cooked tomatoes as well, for example. So I've mentioned salt already, and salt, it's important to bear in mind, being, and this is processed salt, so sodium chloride, such as you'll find in most processed foods, takeaways, meals that are ready-made, meals that you eat, you know, if you go out to a sort of run-of-the-mill place that isn't using sea salt or rock salt, you've got processed table salt. And unfortunately, processed table salt is what contributes to that misplacement of calcium and that degeneration of bone that contributes to arthritis and osteoporosis. Because sodium and calcium push each other around. So just thinking of that at a cellular level, it's thinking about the fact that the more vegetables we eat, the happier our cells are, the happier we are at the basic building block level of the body, because potassium helps your cells structure their water in layers in the cell and hold it in the right place so that all of the little organelles, like the lysosomes and the mitochondria and the Golgi complexes, could all live happily ever after inside your cells. And they're like a set of little organs, all in their own right, these little organelles. Whereas if we have a diet that's high in sodium, or we've consumed a lot of sodium through our lifetime, from biscuits, breads, cakes, sausages, hams, bacons, hard cheeses, takeaways, ready meals, etc., etc., etc. The higher the sodium levels in the body, especially if that's uncombated by low vegetable intake for alongside all of that. And so unfortunately, if our cells are high in sodium, then the more likely we are to start to swell in places where we don't want to swell. And any inflammatory joint, unfortunately, because of the degeneration of the joint capsule, is far more likely to swell, and particularly if there is that excess sodium present. So salt, if you like, sodium chloride will hold, or sodium will hold water in the wrong place. And we start to hold water in all the wrong places in the body. And unfortunately, that swelling then contributes to heat, pain, and more inflammation. So thinking about your body and looking at its pH, your body functions best at a pH of around 7.35 to 7.45. Now, that's not the digestive system that runs down the middle, because that digestive system running down the middle is preferring generally, mostly through it, an acid environment. And your stomach even gets close to car battery acidity at pH of 2, where a car battery is 1. And that's what it needs to do in order to break down and digest your food. So your body uses the alkaline ash that's created from metabolizing these alkaline foods to maintain its own pH. And blood in particular has a pH of 7.35 that does need to be maintained very consistently. And so blood will throw any acids out to the lymph from the cells just to get rid of it so that it can maintain its own integrity. And what tends to happen then, unfortunately, is if we're short of that alkalinity, we'll start to use calcium from the bones in order to buffer that acidity, because calcium is an excellent acid neutralizer. So all that they've done with pH calculation of foods is calculate whether the food burns to an alkaline or an acid ash. And from that, you can work out what the potential renal acid load, what's going to be sent to the kidneys, that acid load that's the kidneys are going to have to deal with, is. It is. And so if there's a negative renal acid load, the food is alkaline. If it's positive, then the food is acidic. And that's somewhat different from its pH. So unfortunately, acid forming foods cause a low grade chronic metabolic acidosis in the body. And some of those acids will get stored in fat cells. So this is why fat cells are so useful, because we can actually use them as a place where we can wall up acids and hold them away from the tissues that need to be alkaline. And so, in a sense, if you are carrying some fat, whether that's on the abdomen, the legs, or wherever it is, you're having trouble shifting it, is thinking, well, one of the reasons is because it may be holding acid wastes that are very, very unwanted in your body's organ cells, for example. So unfortunately, your body is always trying to neutralize these acids. And this is where your bicarbonate reserves run out and your body starts to take the calcium off the bone. So unfortunately, with an acidifying diet, what they've found is that we have high levels of urinary calcium excretion. For example, sugar is a classic one. If we eat a lot of sugar, then we excrete a lot of calcium and magnesium through the kidneys. And obviously that we've been storing on bone, we're now losing through the urine, but it's going along with the acids that your body's had to neutralize by using that calcium. But unfortunately, gradually, the bones are getting weaker and decalcifying. So ideally, if you can get up to 80% of your diet alkaline, that would be amazing. And that can obviously take a bit of time to make quite a shift, to make most of your plate vegetable rich. So as I've already said, the lovely thing about alkaline foods is they contain organic sodium, which is a form we do need for the nervous system and for the heart rhythm, organic potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Whereas if we are bringing some acidic foods in and the other 20%, what I would suggest is that you maybe don't make it some of these. So we've got our caffeine, our dairy, our red meats, our processed meats, things like our fizzy pop, and so on, we've already mentioned. Because what you might like to know is what happens to misplaced calcium. Well, one thing that can happen is that where some joints may be thinning, then some at the extremities may be thickening with misplaced or dumped calcium, that isn't being excreted from the kidneys, that isn't getting back evenly onto bone. We can sometimes find perhaps on finger joints or in bunions, such as you can see below, or even people I've seen, obviously I've seen a lot of feet over the years, and a lot of misshapen toes because of the calcification. People get little bumps on their elbows of misplaced calcium and so on. A cyst basically is partly calcium, a calcified area. Kidney stones are a mixture of calcium and oxalic acid binding up together to form a stone. And then gallstones are calcium binding up with cholesterol to form these very shiny, really quite pretty stones, but you still don't want them in your gallbladder, of course. And then partly some of the furring up of the arteries is contributed by this calcifying silt, which contributes, of course, to things like heart attacks and strokes. And so it's thinking about, you know, one of the last things that we really want is our calcium to be misplacing to the wrong place. And of course, it's also thinking about other mineral needs for bone, because if we have other minerals coming in, and particularly from alkalizing vegetables, which will contain some of these minerals, and things like nuts and seeds, and maybe some, you know, oily fish, because wherever you find essential fats, you will find zinc. And then lovely source of magnesium are our green leafy vegetables. And then we also need some boron, copper and manganese in trace amounts from our diet in order to hold the bone in the right place. So about 94% of our calcium should be in our bones and our teeth. Then some of it we use for tensing the muscles, and we use it also for relaxing the nerves and for helping the blood to clot when necessary, and for helping to maintain an even state of blood sugar. So if you're taking any of them as a supplement, then the citrate form is best absorbed. So I know I've spoken a lot over the last several months about vitamin D and how helpful it is for keeping, or for your calcium metabolism, for helping your calcium get to where it should be and stay there. Vitamin K is the same. Vitamin C also supports that bone matrix, the calcium matrix, and your vitamin B complex, but especially B12, B6 and B9, folic acid, but especially B6. So thinking about essential fats are not needed literally on the bone, because bone is a hard matter. But the essential fats, if you think about all of the secretions that we need to help keep our joints lubricated, then this is where our essential fatty acids come in. And they're also highly anti-inflammatory. They help the adrenals produce anti-inflammatories that help reduce inflammation in joint. And essential fats also help us build and deposit bone material, because they're used in mineral transportation. Another thing about essential fats, really any fats, is that they slow your stomach emptying time. So that allows more time for you to digest foods, but particularly proteins that can contribute to allergies. So such as your casein in dairy, your gluten and gliadin in wheat, for example, and meat proteins and so on. And sorry, I've already mentioned that allergic reactions can play a part in a lot of arthritic and rheumatic complaints. And the thing about altered fats and hard fats is that they can worsen allergies because they tend to create inflammation rather than reduce it. So just to mention a few other special nutrients that they've found support bone building. Lycopene as an antioxidant, really brightly red coloured, found in lovely tomatoes, watermelon, pink grapefruit, guavas, papayas, all a bit tropical. And of course, tomatoes aren't strictly a winter vegetable, but the colour lycopene has been shown to stimulate osteoblasts and help build bone. So a nice antioxidant to include when you can. Then you've got lots of polyphenols, which are also shown to increase the production of these osteoblasts that help you build new bone. And they're found in a collection of fruits here and also in some of your vegetables. And as you can see, the green leafy ones, broccoli and cabbage, include lots of lovely parsley. And then you've got that amazing vegetable celery, which is very water rich, very potassium high, lovely organic sodium as well. And then you've got onion that includes sulfur as well, which we've mentioned a little earlier on. No, we didn't. No, we mentioned sulfates, sorry, not sulfur. So they've also done a study with sesame seeds, and one group were given 40 grams every day of powdered sesame seeds, whereas the other group were given 500 milligrams of the painkiller Tylenol twice daily and 500 milligrams of glucosamine daily, but no sesame seeds. So there's 88 milligrams of calcium in every tablespoon of seeds. And it's so easy in the morning to just pop a tablespoon into your coffee grinder, rather than coffee, of course. I'd just pour the coffee away if I was you and stick with the sesame seeds and grind it up and pop it on your breakfast. So after 2 months of treatment, the group that ate the sesame seeds had the largest decrease in pain. And of course, sesame seeds are high in omega-6, sorry. And they know that as well as omega-3, that omega-6 can help to reduce arthritic pain. So it's excellent for your bones as well because of the calcium content. Oh, hello, Chris. Any questions?
Have you any questions?
Well, can I ask?
Is there such a thing as a supplement for bones? I'm just thinking about osteoporosis as well as arthritis, but you know, with all the right sort of ratio and amounts.
Well, both Nutrigold and Cytoplan do a bone support, and yes, they are in good ratios in terms of calcium and magnesium, because that's the most important balance. But I think, generally speaking, most people have enough calcium available, or many people do. It might not. might not always be from great sources, but you know, one of the minerals that's most lacking, and particularly because of the way we farm, is magnesium. And the other difficulty that we have now, because of the electromagnetic frequency technology, is that it has an impact on your voltage gated calcium channels, and that is contributing to more calcium misplacement. And so one of the things that will help hold that in place is your vitamin D and your magnesium. So a collection of things, really, Sue.
I have that that algae cal and strontium from a night time. So I'm really at back end of it. I don't know if I can get any more from America. Costs such a lot to get across, but that's a really good ratio. But of course, it's plant based of it all. It has magnesium in as well, vitamin D, everything, but it is plant based.
Yes, the cytoplan supplements are plant based too.
And that's the algae cal.
Thank you, Maggie.
What about exercise? Does that help with arthritis?
I think most people find that gentle weight bearing exercise is helpful, but it depends how deteriorated the joint is, really. Because if it's in a state where bone is rubbing on bone, then it can cause absolute agony. But generally speaking, if it's a stiffness in the body, then it is good if you can keep moving, because very often with movement it improves.
A friend of mine was supposed to have a hip replacement and refused because he hasn't been double jabbed. He didn't want to wear a mask. He didn't want to have the PCR test. And so he refused to have it. But he is, I think, bone on bone. And he's continuing to exercise, but
very often it's a good idea, if you can, and again, it might be tricky at the moment, I don't know, to take up things like swimming. Right. Weight is born in the water, because that takes the pressure off the joint. And then also things like the upside down yoga is, you know, people hang upside down.
Sounds good.
Again, take the weight off the joints. And floor yoga, where you lay and you do your stretches on the floor.
Yeah,
that's also really helpful to keep everything moving, because then you're, you know, even if it was a knee, for example, or a hip, even if when you're laid on the floor, you're actually still supported in your movement. So that's just a thought to keep everything moving, because it is really important to do that, because then you keep the blood flow to the joint as well, and the blood flow away, which will help carry the acid wastes away.
What is zinc? Is it a metal, or what is zinc?
It's a mineral. It's an antioxidant. It's highly anti-inflammatory. So your pumpkin seeds are a good source of zinc. I tend to suggest, you know, grind up some seeds every morning and put them on your breakfast. Even if, you know, if you haven't got a coffee grinder, I always recommend get one, especially for the purpose, because golden linseeds are high in zinc. All the seeds are a nice source of magnesium. So you've got your golden linseeds, your pumpkin, your sesame, your sunflower. Sunflower are a lovely source of B5, which is a nice support for the adrenals. Sesame, the calcium. You've got the zinc in the pumpkin and golden linseeds. They're all, you've got omega-3 in the pumpkin and the golden linseeds. You've got omega-6 in the sesame and sunflower.
What about iron, Susie? I'm having a blood test. You know, I'm fine. I do all my exercises. I'm swimming, and it does help me. But it would just iron. I was just thinking the other day. I wonder if it's iron that I might be a bit short of, or B12. You know, being vegetarian.
Well, firstly, iron. Pumpkin seeds are a good source.
Is it? Right.
Yeah.
Pumpkin seed. Yeah.
And in terms of B12, well, again, you're back to your gut, because you can make some of your B12 in your gut if gut flora are healthy.
Yeah.
But if you are vegetarian stroke vegan, it may be a good idea to supplement with a
Yeah. Right then. Thank you.
just to make sure.
Susie, how do you find out what pH your body is at?
Well, one way is to get some pH sticks.
Mm-hmm.
I dread to say Amazon, but I must admit, years ago, that is where I got the packet I've got. And you can test your saliva, your urine, and check and see what your pH is.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cytoplan used to do litmus. Is it litmus?
They did used to do them.
I don't know whether they still do them. Yes.
Yeah. Cytoplan, the company they're in Herefordshire, aren't they? Malvern, Worcestershire, sorry.
Yes, Hanley Swan, I went past their firm the other day.
Oh, there you go. In a lovely part of the country. Morgan cars are there as well.
That's right. Yes. My brother lives just down the road from Hanley Swan.
Aha.
So
right.
I called
Very nice.
Yes, it is.
Would you like to ask a question, Elodie? Any other questions?
Not that I can think of, Susie.
No. Okay.
Oh, you said that Cytoplan are in food state, the supplements. Aren't Nutrigold food supplements as well?
They're not food state, no.
Oh, right. Oh,
no,
I didn't
they're
know.
citrate based, but they're not food state.
Right. Oh, I thought Nutrigold were the same as Cytoplan. So
no, they're quite different companies.
Yes.
Quite different. Yeah. And each of them, of course, would have you believe that they are the best.
Oh,
as with any business. Yeah.
Yeah, they were very good, Susan. When I rang up about, instead of taking acidophilus, for your gut, I'm always working on that. I had Zymotech, a little bit expensive, but the Zymotech and a magnesium. But of course, I've got my magnesium in the algae cal, but I did get some magnesium from them as well. Not that I take all the lot, if you know what I mean. Just one magnesium and then the Zymotech. And that sort of has helped me gut more than the acidophilus.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. I must admit, the Zymotech isn't one that I know, but
digestive enzyme, apparently. It was one of the men. I was just lucky to catch him. I forget, because I can never get hold of him, but he just happened to come on and said, would you think about trying that rather than acidophilus,
right.
to sort of push everything through, sort of thing. Just everything slows down as you get older, as we know.
Yeah. No, I must admit, digestive enzymes are not something that I tend to prescribe, but I know some people find them very helpful. It's thinking about getting the pH right of the stomach.
I'll
And
work on that one.
yeah. Yeah.
So are you having a break from the clinic for the summer then, Susie?
Well, I'm going camping next week.
Are you? Where you going camping?
In Wales.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Mm.
And then see where we go from there. I think we need to get, we're in a little bit of a pickle in our house, so we need to get ourselves sorted out during August, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you go camping? I hope it's something like a luxury motorhome. Not a tent.
It is a tent. It's a
Oh, no.
it's a trailer tent. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, that's not so bad.
Has a mattress.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I actually love camping. It's one of my favourite things.
Mm.
Yes.
Great.
Introduced at a very early age, probably about 18 months, I think.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
love
my
it.
daughter Susie, you know, one that came home from Australia and now stuck. She went from Land's End to John O'Groats, psych on a bike with all the things and camped all the way along all the time. Yeah,
Wow.
and she turns 50 on, or is it 40? No, she's 50. 71 she was born, so she turns 50 this August. Yeah.
Wow.
So she's stuck here and she's enjoying it.
Oh.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Why can't we see a picture of Margaret?
I think it's got less data.
Because I
Oh, there you are. There she
that's
is.
the
Oh, there you
state
are.
of me. I have been in the
Lovely.
garden. We have a right of way and I've been clearing it all. And I've had a
Right.
cap on my head like that. And that's what I look like. I thought if I put it on, I'll scare you all. But I've
You
been
look,
doing
no.
you look as gorgeous as
I've
ever.
been
Maggie.
about, oops, I've gone off. I've been about 3 hours on a right of way. It's been murder. And now I've just knocked you all off. But I can
Oh.
hear you.
Oh.
Nice to
Right.
put her name to her face anyway.
Oh,
That's
right.
it. Yeah. No, you look as lovely as ever.
Thank you.
So, well, I will
I don't know. Oh, that's
redo the eye health one and
Yeah.
send that out with this one, hopefully.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all a lovely summer.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
you.
rest of
Enjoy your
August.
camping.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy camping.
Yes. Happy camping.
And I have to apologise because I know a couple of people are expecting communications from me, and you should get them tomorrow morning. I do apologise. I was in Essex and London Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I haven't caught up with myself yet.
That's fine, don't worry.
Yeah.
Let's hope the weather's nice for you in Wales.
I hope so. I hope so.
Are you going to South Wales or North Wales?
West Wales?
Oh,
Slap bang in the middle on the west coast at Barmouth.
right, lovely.
It's a bit we went to years ago when the girls were very, very small, and Sam actually got locked in a camp loo. And we were the last couple of tents left on the campsite. It was the bank holiday, and she said, "I'm just going for a wee, mummy." Oh, she trotted, because of course it was fine because there was nobody else there but us. And we were sitting there chatting with our friends, and I thought, she's been a long time. So I thought, I'd better go and have a look, see why she's taking so long. And the poor child, she must have been telepathing me. I said, Sam, Mummy, I'm stuck. I can't get out.
Oh. How old was she? 821. 16.
6. So I had to climb over the top of the other cubicle
Oh.
to figure out the bolt on this door. Poor child. She doesn't seem too traumatized. She's 33 now. I think she's.
Oh, goodness.
So yes,
Oh,
no more adventures
thank you
like
very
that.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Susie.
It's lovely to
Brilliant.
see you. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you all again.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 See you tomorrow, Susie.
Yes, you tomorrow, Jim.